The world mourned the loss of gospel icon Richard Smallwood, but the reality behind his passing may leave you completely surprised. Contrary to what many people assumed, his death wasn't the result of a sudden illness or a tragic accident. Newly revealed information tells a very different story, one that challenges nearly everything we thought we understood. In this video, we break down the true cause, the timeline leading to his final moments, and the reactions that came afterward. These are details that, until now, have mostly remained out of sight. What you're about to discover changes the entire narrative. Richard Smallwood was much more than a gospel legend. From his early days with the Richard Smallwood Singers to his powerful solo career that reached millions, he inspired generations of listeners. When news of his passing first broke, his music stood as a symbol of faith, hope, and spiritual excellence. Fans and fellow artists were left shocked as rumors began circulating about what really caused his unexpected death. But here, we go beyond the speculation. We examine the verified facts surrounding Richard Smallwood's passing, including the medical and personal circumstances that led up to it. We'll also look at statements from his family, close friends, and those who knew him best, while clearing up the false information that spread online. By the end, you'll have a complete understanding of what truly happened and why the cause of his death is not what most people think. We'll also dive into how his loss affected the gospel music community, the public reaction, and the emotional tributes shared by fans around the world. Whether you've followed his journey for decades or are only now learning about his impact, this breakdown delivers real facts, deeper context, and insight you won't get from simple headlines. As we continue, pay close attention to the details that reveal not just how he passed, but also the deeply human side of a legendary figure whose legacy still lives on. And trust me, the story surrounding his final days contains moments that are both shocking and heartbreaking. But before we explore the circumstances of his death, it's important to understand the man behind the music. Richard Smallwood was far more than a singer or songwriter. He was a trailblazer in gospel music whose influence spanned generations. Born in 1948 in Atlanta, Georgia, Smallwood showed a love for music early on, combining formal classical training with the rich traditions of gospel. By the 1970s, he was already performing with choirs and creating musical arrangements that would later become iconic in contemporary gospel. Smallwood's signature sound, blending soaring choir harmonies, orchestral layers, and emotionally powerful lyrics, made him stand apart from everyone else. Songs like Total Praise and Center of My Joy are still performed in churches worldwide decades after their release. He wasn't just creating music, he was shaping spiritual experiences, giving voice to faith and emotion that reached far beyond the studio and the stage. Richard Smallwood was also admired for his humility and his commitment to mentoring others. Those who worked alongside him often shared how he nurtured young talent, offering guidance to aspiring gospel singers and musicians with patience and wisdom. His influence extended well beyond his recordings. It was felt in every choir he directed, every workshop he led, and every life he touched. Even with such a highly visible career, Smallwood stayed remarkably private when it came to his personal life. Very little was ever shared about his health or any struggles he may have been facing, which makes the situation surrounding his death all the more shocking. While fans focused on celebrating his musical legacy, almost no attention was paid to his daily life, his wellness habits, or any medical concerns he might have been dealing with. This striking contrast between his public success and his private reality helps explain why his passing stunned so many people. Although the world admired his achievements, the deeper story exists in the quiet challenges he endured behind the scenes. The months before his death include details that most people were never aware of. As we move into the next part, we'll break down the timeline of events including the subtle warning signs that something was wrong, ultimately leading to the startling truth about his final days. To fully understand the circumstances of Richard Smallwood's passing, we have to closely examine the months leading up to it. While the public continued to see him as energetic and engaged, those closest to him say his health had become a quiet concern for quite some time, though it was never widely reported. Friends and family describe someone who, even while appearing strong on stage and in interviews, was dealing with small changes that pointed to underlying medical problems. According to sources near his family, Smallwood was dealing with complications that weren't visible to the outside world. Rather than a single sudden event, his condition developed gradually. He reportedly experienced periods of tiredness, mild discomfort, and other early warning signs that, although manageable, suggested something wasn't entirely right. These symptoms were never made public, partly because of his private nature and partly because those around him believed he could quietly handle them. In the weeks leading up to his death, Smallwood continued to fulfill his professional commitments, including rehearsals, recording sessions, and virtual appearances. Those who worked with him described him as deeply devoted to his craft, refusing to let personal struggles interfere with the music that defined his life. That dedication, however, may have masked just how serious his condition had become, both to himself and to others. What makes this timeline especially important is how fast rumors began spreading after news of his passing broke. Early reports speculated about everything from sudden illness to unexpected accidents. Fans poured onto social media with tributes and condolences, but many also rushed to conclusions without confirmed details. This wave of uncertainty highlights why it's so important to rely on verified facts, family statements, medical records, and first-hand accounts, instead of speculation. It is now evident that the cause of Richard Smallwood's death was not what many initially believed. Despite rumors of a sudden heart attack or an accident, the facts point to a far more complex medical situation, shaped by conditions that had been quietly affecting him for months. These were not dramatic, headline-grabbing symptoms. They were subtle, ongoing, and ultimately vital to understanding what truly took place. But here's the startling part. Some of the elements that contributed to his death were preventable, or at least manageable, with proper medical care. That leads to an important question. Why weren't these warning signs more noticeable? And could earlier attention have changed the outcome? In the next section, we'll break down the exact medical cause, the information shared by his doctors and family, and the surprising truths that directly challenge what fans assumed after his passing. After months of speculation and rumors, the real story behind Richard Smallwood's death has finally emerged. And it is very different from what many people initially believed. Multiple sources close to his family have confirmed that his death was not sudden in the usual sense. It was not caused by an accident or an unexpected heart attack, despite what some headlines claimed. Instead, it resulted from a complicated combination of underlying health issues that quietly worsened over time. Medical insiders explained that Smallwood had been dealing with cardiovascular and metabolic conditions that, while once under control, became harder to manage as he aged. Friends and family members say he was keeping track of his health, taking prescribed medications, and making necessary lifestyle adjustments. However, the natural progression of those conditions eventually reached a critical stage. Rather than a single dramatic moment, his passing came after months of silent struggle. This is important because it challenges the typical media narrative around sudden celebrity deaths, which are often oversimplified. Smallwood's situation was complex. It involved age-related complications, the chronic pressure of a demanding career, and subtle warning signs that even those close to him did not immediately recognize. People who spent time with him during his final weeks recalled moments when he appeared unusually tired or slightly unsteady, Small details that didn't seem concerning at the time, but in hindsight pointed to something much more serious. Another key factor that has since come to light is the role stress played during his last months. As a globally respected gospel musician, he faced non-stop expectations, recording, performing, and mentoring, all of which he took deeply to heart, even while dealing with health challenges. Sources say Smallwood continued pushing himself beyond his limits, refusing to cancel appearances or show any weakness. That tireless dedication, though admirable, may have intensified his underlying conditions and contributed to what followed. Family statements confirm that his passing was peaceful, with loved ones by his side, and not as sudden or catastrophic as rumors suggested. His wife, children, and closest friends shared that he stayed mentally sharp and spiritually strong until the very end, still uplifting everyone around him. What stunned the public most was not simply how he died, but the contrast between the energetic performer seen on stage and the private health struggles that were never widely known. The truth about his cause of death also reflects a broader reality in celebrity culture. Public image rarely shows private reality. Fans often assume that someone as focused, active, and vibrant as Smallwood could never be facing serious medical issues. But the facts reveal a different story, uncovering the quiet battles even the most admired figures fight behind the scenes. Richard Smallwood's passing sent shockwaves throughout the gospel music world and beyond. Within hours of the news breaking, fans, fellow artists, and public figures flooded social media with messages of grief, love, and tribute. Hashtags honoring his life began trending, and video compilations of his most powerful performances were shared tens of thousands of times. Yet alongside the admiration, there was also confusion and even controversy surrounding the true cause of his death.